Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating the fourth of four sessions of Eotenweard, my PBTA game of Dark Age monster hunting. This game was organised as part of the Gauntlet online RPG community's monthly calendar. If you don't know about the Gauntlet, then please do type Gauntlet-RPG into any reputable search engine and you will find all about us. Or you could refer back to earlier issues, sessions of this series to get a little bit more detail. But for now, I will simply want to get on with the game. So I will say, my name is Alan, and my pronouns are he, him. Let me ask the players to introduce themselves. Let's go for just a change in reverse character keeper order. Bodhi, would you like to say hello and tell us something about Icenius, the Sword of God?
So I'm Bodhi, pronouns they, them, and I'm playing Icenius, who is a pious man, but perhaps more convinced of his own rightness than anything else, and is getting increasingly entangled with his god. I think God has commanded him to kill at least 2 people if certain conditions aren't met at this point, and he's just found a interpreting ancient learning, just found a second horseshoe of St. George, which may prove useful later in the session.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Yes, yeah, he has track record here because originally he refused to kill a former member of his order. And I'm curious whether he's going to look God in the face and refuse some more today. So we'll find out. Moving along, Lowell, say hello and tell us about Cuniobacha, our pagan mystic.
So my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. I'm running Cuniobacha, pronouns he, him, who is our pagan mystic, whose God has not yet asked him to kill anyone, especially not kill anyone in the group. Just want to put that out there. He is, however, very angry that this has not gone exactly according to plan. And right now he is basking in his pride that he has not yet had a chance to indulge in. His God did give him a warning last time that he needs to get his shit together, I think is the most compact way I can say that. I'm waiting to see whether we're going to have to fight a big snake in the water or not.
Again, who knows? Who knows? Moving along, Paul, say hello and tell us about Black Russel the Outlaw.
Hello, I'm Paul, he, him, and I'm playing Black Russel, also he, him. Black Russel is the outlaw come thief of the group, and currently I actually don't owe my gods too much, unlike probably the other players. That's Black Russel.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, when your nemesis, the mortal that you're in hock to, tried to call on you, you in fact were prepared to give up any debt on anybody just to avoid doing what he'd asked of you. Let's see if that holds through today. And finally, Pavel, say hello and tell us about Hoel from Stroden, our monster hunter.
Hello and good evening. I'm Pavel, and I'm playing Hoel from Stroden, who looks very similar to Kratos for some weird reason. Also wears leather armor, fights with an axe, yeah, he hunts monsters, he helps people, and last time we have seen him getting a little bit greedy and robbing some graves. But hey, he found some bracelets that, well, we will see them used hopefully today, so it will be fun.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how that's going to go. So we left it last time having traveled to the island of Ely, because at the time we're playing at about 6:20, 6:30 CE. Ely is in the east of England, is an isolated island in a great fenland marsh, which is why you will see behind a number of us scenes of marshland. And you went to that isle on the basis that Icenius's Icenius thought about his learning, and he believed that there was something there that would allow you to confront what so far you only know as the Great Mothers. There are some very peculiar people living in this fenland who are broadly human, but only broadly. And they appear to be wanting to crush people that you are currently employed by to solve a problem. That problem appears to revolve around these fen people and the great mothers that they revere. So the question is, what are you going to do next? So let me start by saying to Icenius, your learning brought you here. It appears to have yielded something useful in as much as in this old Roman ruin of a Mithraic temple, you have found a horseshoe that you identify as matching one that you have heard of before, and indeed is in your possession in a slightly different form than a horseshoe. So now that you have these things that presumably are useful, what do you think you're going to do, Icenius?
I think I'm going to be very direct here. I'm going to kind of strike out into the march, full of kind of righteous anger, and go slay. In my mind, go slay some whatever's causing the problems.
Now, I'm curious, Cuniobacha, what do you and your cousin Black Russel make of this? What kind of conversation do we see? Because all of this happened kind of towards the end of yesterday, so I'm assuming that it's either tonight or tomorrow. So when are you having this conversation with your cousin, Cuniobacha?
I think when we see Icenius gather himself together and get that look, that faraway look that says, I'm going to go and I'm going to trudge off by myself because God is with me. I think I've crossed my arms and I look at Black Russel and I say, so, on the one hand, if he goes out and defeats this thing by himself, that's a good, easy thing. On the other hand, if he goes out and he happens to have the things that we need to actually beat this thing and gets et, then that's not a great thing.
No, maybe we should stay at a distance and eat them first before they eat us. Always time for an escape plan.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Let's see where Hoel is. We'll kind of look
Phil,
around.
where are you and what is your thinking?
I think I'm leaving this crypt which I robbed and go out, look around, see that Cuniobacha is looking around, and I approach and I say,
Pointing at Icenius.
"Oh, is that the trail he found that we should go?"
He seems to be heading out determinedly.
I am
Let's hope
curious.
he's got a boat. If not, he'll just flounder in the marsh for a while.
This island is perhaps 100 paces by 50 paces.
How much is a pace?
Just steps. I'm trying to provide a non-imperial measure. Icenius, I'm curious. You know, you're tooling up to go. Where are you tooling up to go to?
Well, first of all, I think that although I'm tooling up to go on my own, I will give an opportunity. Kind of once I've all tooled up, I'll say something kind of that I just assume it's obvious what I'm doing and say, right, who's with me? And
well, at least it's got some comedy value. Might as well go along for that reason.
And I think
Good, Sir Icenius. It is Sir, or is it? Do you have a title? I've never really asked that. Is it just Icenius?
I think it would. Given I'm part of a monastic order, I think I'd say it would be Brother Icenius.
Brother Icenius, what is your plan?
My plan is to follow the guidance of God.
Would you, by any chance, share that guidance with us so that we might better follow in your footsteps?
Okay, I think I'm going to roll Blessed by Gods here.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you were going to go with his servant. Which version of God are you trying to contact?
No, not Blessed by God. Sorry, I'm confusing soul move and start of session move. His servant, yes. Let's find.
So at the beginning of each session, roll plus subtle on 7 plus a vision provides you with some hint of what is to come, and you hold one to look about you later in the session. On 10 plus, you are not asked to do something dishonorable during the session in return for his help. Oh God, a debt of honor if you refuse or fail. On 6 minus, you are unworthy of help. Simply, oh God, a debt.
I am unworthy of help. Which I'm not really surprised, given how me and God have been getting along recently.
Yeah, so increase your debt to God from 4 to 5. And I would remind you that any debt above 2, I can use as a hold against you to make life really complicated. So that's quite a range of hard moves just sitting on my hard move shelf, waiting to be plucked and thrown. So with that guidance in mind then, Icenius, what is your response to Cuniobacha?
My response is somewhat more muted than I was earlier. My response is that I'm sure something will reveal itself.
Okay, Hoel, you're a monster hunter. Ostensibly, the view seems to be there's a monster out there, and the plan so far is don't worry, something will turn up.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to follow God's advice, they always mock us. So I think we should do. I'm trusting my instincts because I have no idea.
Well, what would a monster
that
hunter
also sounds similar to I haven't got a clue.
May I say something?
You may certainly say something.
So, what I saw in the vision that I had, brief as it was, it may be a piece and a part to help your gut make a choice and help you have clarity about what your God wishes, is this procession had an object in their hands. Wasn't entirely clear what it was, but they went down to the edge of the water, just down there, not that far from where we're at, and they threw something in the water. An offering, as it were. I'm unsure what that was about, but I thought I'd put that to you in case anyone has a better sense of what that might mean. Did you find anything in the crypt, Hoel?
He looks down at his whether they were silver or gold, silver bracelets. Well, I didn't find any knowledge or guidance. If that's what you ask, I was hoping that Icenius will find something. His, I don't know, order brought us here, so we are not even sure what we are up against. I'm not sure if anyone done it. Has anyone tried to consult the knowledge? What do the common folk even know about the Great Mothers?
Let me get this straight. Cuniobacha, you saw something being thrown in the water just over there in some previous time.
Yes.
Now, normally offerings are worth something. So while I'm saying this sort of sentence to Cuniobacha and the others, I will be stripping off my clothes. And when I get down to just my loincloth, I will hightail it at full speed with just my knife and my undercrackers to the spot that Cuniobacha is pointed to and dive into the water to try and recover an item of worth.
Don't.
He is in motion, it appears. Well, he is stripping off. So I guess we know what he's going to do when he's finished stripping off. But while he's stripping off, there is some time to intervene, Cuniobacha, if that's what you have in mind.
Oh, no, that's my very much no. You shouldn't do that. Okay.
Hoel.
Could be worth something. Okay, that's me in. I'm going for it. Finders keepers.
Hoel. It looks like a plan is resolving. What are you still interested in testing your instincts?
Since we know nothing about the Great Mothers, I think I'm going to stretch my mind into the folk tales about the Great Mothers. What do the people say? What are the rumors? Because we know next to nothing. I mean, we know nothing about them.
I mean, you know that these Fen people who are very odd seem to revere them. That's about it. But they were pretty closed-mouthed in terms of the details. So it does look like this is a secret known to them. But as I say, if you want to test your instincts, I'd be very happy to see where that leads us.
Sure. In that case, yes. As I expected, it's a 5.
Well, do mark experience. So on a 5, the gods have a different plan for you and you are led into danger. I think, Hoel, that the logical thing for you to do is to return to the Fenlander's village and ask. But it does look like Black Russel has other plans, unless someone's going to kind of intervene very quickly.
I'm going to head down to help him.
Oh, help, not stop.
Not stop. I'll stand by the shore to assist him if this goes terribly wrong.
Icenius?
I don't feel I have any particular reason to stop Black Russel. I think this is a very bad idea, but I'm going to stand by and see what happens. And I've also come to the conclusion that I'm increasingly thinking that it's the horseshoe that needs to be thrown in, and I am kind of regarding Cuniobacha's vision as God-given wisdom because of my belief in him as a vessel of Saint Michael.
Exactly. I mean, clearly God has been speaking through Cuniobacha, because he's certainly not communicating with you well on the back channel. So unless Hoel intervenes, Russel is going to hit the water. Okay, Russel, you dive into the water, into the reeds on the edge. You wade out through the mud and the mire. What is most worrying Black Russel about being out here?
I think that the sort of shoreline disappears, so it quickly comes into deep water very quickly.
Okay, so maybe you thought you were going to wade out through this muck and mire for 50 yards, where it's more like 5 yards, and it just drops away beneath you.
Bit deep.
And what do you do when you are, 10 yards out, 10 paces out from where the others are on dryish land?
Well, we all know gold only sits on the surface when it's underwater. That's where rings are found all the time. So I'm going to dive down with my knife between my teeth, trying to look for any hidden treasure.
Okay, I think that looks like face danger. Or look about you. Where do you think this
Well,
is
I'm
going?
looking for.
Fine. Let's use look about you.
If a very large fish creature appears, probably something to do with danger.
Okay, so let's have you roll to look about. You roll with sense.
Sense is 1, so here we go with 2 dice. Let's get the low things out of the way early on. Oh, came off double 6. Now it is 7, so that raises to 8. Pretty good.
Okay, so on an 8, you can ask me one question about the circumstances, or you can create a detail that we agree adds nicely to the fiction.
The question is, where is the item that Cuniobacha saw?
Oh, that's quite a tricky one, isn't it? How will
basically, is it here, and can I see it?
Okay, so what I'm imagining then is we cut to the view underwater, and we see you making your way through the weeds and the roots of the
bubbles coming out my nose.
All of that stuff. And there, on the surface, is a golden ring.
Precious. I will grab.
You throw me a trope and I'll catch it.
I will grab the precious ring, and hopefully it is not sort of bound by anything, and I will attempt to head to the surface quickly.
And I think you bob to the surface. Do you display the ring? Because I know that you're a slightly suspicious chap when it comes to value.
I am, but I don't expect these 3 individuals to rob me blind in front of me. So no. I will hold up the ring. I've already announced it was finders keepers, and say, I found it.
Good for you.
So, and he comes out of the water.
I would like to start making my way to the bank.
That's
Unless
fine.
Something sort of is slithering in the water behind me.
No, I don't think there is. I don't think there is.
So like I was saying before, I think we should return to the village now that we are, Icenius is sure that we can defeat those many mothers, or great mothers. We just return to the village and we make some fuss and they come and we defeat them. And I think that's the best plan.
I don't think that's a great plan.
Well, they are clearly revered by them. So when they will be in danger, they will clearly come to help them or rescue them.
I wonder if the ring that Russell found, I wonder if that still contains power, if that's connected to them.
Does your order know anything about this ring, Icenius?
I am going to roll ancient learning.
Tell us of the precious.
If in doubt.
So, my order definitely knows something with this ring, because that's a 12, I believe. Yes, that is a 12.
Okay, there's no bonus on a 12, but you do get to ask me a question.
What is the nature of the power of this ring, presuming that it has one?
There are words inscribed around the inside of it in Latin, which, being an educated Frankish churchman, you speak and write. And it says, no, not in Elvish, no. What it says is, gifted to the creatures of the marsh in return for peace. Is that helpful?
Yes, I think I convey this to the others, and I say, I wonder why why the peace has been broken in that case.
Good providence like that. Should raise some extra cash when I sell it.
Hoel, what do you do when you see something moving in the water?
Is it something like is it something that we have seen before, like this giant fish that was telling us, or is it something different?
There is something moving through the water from out there, because it's now dusk, so it's not visibility isn't great, but there is something. There is a disturbance in the water moving towards you.
Russell, get out! This giant fish is wants to eat you for the supper.
No problem at all. I'm out of there in toot sweet speed, donning my clothes.
I have to say, I assume you're out already, because otherwise
I thought I was already, but I was more than happy to play along.
Yeah. So let's assume that you are dressed by this point, having had Icenius examine the ring. So yeah, there is a disturbance in the water. It's getting closer.
I walk up to the shoreline. I'm going to take care of this situation, and I'm going to stand and wait.
Fine. There are several other tracks in the ripples. Ripples in the water, heading towards you. Not fast, slowly.
Can someone raise a torch or a light in case it gets dark, please?
Yeah, fine.
If I've got one, I will set one up and sort of stab it into the ground, so it's providing light.
The same.
Yeah. There are half a dozen of these tracks moving through the water towards you. Tell me at what point you want to do something. They're now about 40 paces out, 30 paces.
That's the point.
Hang on, Cuniobacha.
That's the point at which I will cast my perceptions outward and attempt to read their thoughts and their intent.
The mind of the monster.
Yes.
Roll plus soul.
Roll plus soul. Oh, can you give me the link to the
yes,
roll?
I can.
Of course, I've done something dumb with it. Thank you.
I can't remember if you used the purple ones last time or the yellow ones.
I always use yellow because it's the weakest color. And then I always delete and then submit new dice. So I'm going to delete those. I'm going to submit 2 new dice. So that's an 8.
Yes, that's an 8. Yes, sorry. So on an 8, on 79, hold 1 and ask me a question. I think I know what you're going to ask me, but...
Yes, I think it's a little obvious, but I'm going to go with the oldies but goodies. So what are they planning to do?
They are planning to retrieve that which is theirs.
So I take a step back. They are coming to retrieve what is theirs. By that, I suspect we mean the ring, or whatever else we found in the cupboards of this place that we just raided. So steady yourselves, gentlemen.
20 paces.
Is there? Yeah. So I have this cool move, Monster Hunter, that I have to somehow plan a trap. I'm not yet sure what it will be, but I'm planning a trap.
Fine. You have had the fictional positioning to develop a trap to protect your location. Yeah, I'm very happy for that. That's the way it's meant to be used. So 20 paces, 15 paces.
I'd suggest to Cuniobacha you get away from the shore edge. Maybe allow some heavier armored people to go.
Start falling back.
Icenius?
A little bit, not too much.
No, Icenius, are you at the point where it's not a kind of bank. It's a gradual, muddy, marshy, sludgy.
I'm back from the point where it's particularly muddy and slippery. I'm staying on some drier ground where I've got better footing.
Okay.
And I suggest to Russell that that he leave the ring on the ground in front of us and that it may mollify them for a moment.
Russell? Tell you what, while you're thinking about that, 10 paces.
Yeah, I'll put it down, but it's got to be quite a bit on land. These things need to come out of that water.
Okay, so shall we say you've retreated 5 or 10 paces from
10 paces.
Yeah,
10 paces is
okay.
fine.
So 8, 7, 6, 5 is the point where you told me that the shelving drops off. And that's when they begin to climb out of the water. They are dark. In the flickering of the torchlight, they are shiny and reflective, perhaps scaly. They are humanoid. They are wielding what look like crude bone spears. They are larger than man-sized. They have slits of mouths full of very sharp teeth. And they just trudge inexorably out of this mud towards the land.
I want to say, this may go past them at this point. I have no idea how they speak, but I will say, we have this because you have already broken the peace. Why has the peace already been broken? Speak with us.
They continue to make their way towards where you've put the ring down, which is on the first bit of dry land, I think. You are a couple of paces back from that, I thought. Yeah?
Yep.
Hoel, tell me if and when you want to go, pull the string, activate the trap, whatever you've set up. Yeah?
Yeah. Yes, I will tell you. Or miss the opportunity, whatever. We'll see.
Okay.
If they ain't replying and they're going for that ring, we gave them all the chances of parlay. Nah, this ain't on. I'm going to unleash an arrow at one of them.
Okay. So go ahead. Fight the thing. Roll plus savage.
Snake eyes, +1.
Mark experience and deal with the broken bowstring later.
Okay.
So it doesn't go anywhere near them. It just snaps. The arrow falls at your feet. They are now 3 paces from the ring, advancing in an arrowhead formation. 5 of them.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Let's. Oh my God, what should we
Let's
do?
dive into combat.
I feel so uninformed at this point. Yeah, let's go and slay them.
So
why not?
You're not going to activate any trap at this point, Hoel.
I'm wondering what can I hide in the mud? I think that let's activate something because it's gonna be fun. Wait, let me take a read. Spend a hold when you have fictional positioning to have plant a trap for a monster. When the trap is triggered, say how you are at mortal risk and spend each hold to make a roll of advantage. Or allow another PC to act to do so against the trapped monsters. Once any holds are spent, the monsters break free. If any rolls 6-, the risk you describe will come to pass. So I want to say that we see that Hoel have hidden free bear traps. Is it the age for the bear traps? Were they even invented at this point?
Bear traps have been around for millennia.
Yeah, so basically we have like a free bear traps or 2 bear traps, like trap some of their legs, and we can see that they were like hidden in the mud somehow a little bit, so that they were like hard to spot. And as they like step into this, Hoel dives in with his axe and shouts, "If you won't speak to me, I will not speak to you."
Fine. So Hoel has triggered his traps. They've stepped into these bear traps. I will allow the advantage to be used against any one of them, or if you have something that it would influence all of them.
Do we treat them as a group, or do we treat them as 5 individuals?
I think that I'm happy for the advantage to be played out any way you want. So if you have a move that could impact on a number of them, you can use the advantage on that. I'm not going to distinguish between the ones that are held and the ones that aren't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they are currently confused by these traps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hoel, you've announced you're charging in. So let's have you do that. So you are with advantage if you want to use it, or you can hand it off to somebody else.
My traps. It's gonna be fun. I will use it. I'm the weakest on Savage, so we will see how it will go.
Okay. So roll 3 dice and take the top 2.
Yeah, so we see Hoel charge in, jump up with the axe. Axe falls down on one of them. I rolled a 9 plus 1, it's a 10.
So you've got a range of options.
Yes. Well, I think I will exchange harm and spot a weakness point and inflict an extra harm. Well, they might have some, scaly armors, but they still have heads, and heads are usually a weak point for most monsters, same as humans. So, attack from the up.
Okay. So
Really powerful.
so I think you're doing 3 points of harm. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Okay. So 2 gets through. Exchange harm. They are. They've simply got claws and spears. So I'm going to give you claws for 2 points of harm minus any protection you might have.
Question about my funny move, duck and dive.
Uh-huh.
So I can, oh my god's on favor to have +1 armor, but does it like stays for the fight, or is it on a move by move basis?
For the fight.
Yeah, why not? I'm just saying that you have 4 deaths on me, so
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about
cool. So yes, so since I have 2 armor, nothing gets through. I think we see I just like with the fierce charge, their spears just like slide on my armor, and maybe the other one goes with the spear. I just like bounce it with my bracelets, and yeah, I just like keep smashing on this one. So that's how the fight looks like.
Fine. I'm going to go to Cuniobacha. No, I'm going to go to Icenius next, because I think Icenius was talking about being prepped for this. So, Icenius, what do you do?
So I think I do the same at this point. This has devolved into a fight. It's not much point trying to get people to talk now, and I move in kind of like in a kind of fighting stance, spear overhead, kind of looking to not looking to throw my spear at this stage, looking to stab at one of them, whichever's closest to me.
So I've noticed in the chat that Hoel is happy to hand the advantage off to somebody else. Is that what I was intended to do, Pavel?
I'm just saying that since I have another halt on my traps, we can very much use them if someone wants.
Fine.
Just say so.
Yeah, I'm very happy to. I'm also aware that we'll have spent our holds, but
yeah,
if
sure.
that works for you, then sure, I'll go for it.
Go with advantage.
Okay, so roll 3 dice, take the top 2.
That is an 8, and with my 2 savage, a 10.
You too have some options. You could adopt 2 of the bullets, or exchange harm on one of those bullet points.
I think I am. I think I'm exchanging harm and also going to keep the advantage train going and gain advantage.
Okay, so what harm are you doing? What weapons? Weapon harm?
So
I think it's probably a 2, is it?
spear. So I think a spear is a 2. Let me get to the right tab again. Yes, spear is 2 if I'm not on a horse, which I'm not.
You're not. The scales will take 1, so you get 1 point of harm gets through to them. You will take 2 points of harm minus whatever protection you have going for you.
I have my shield, which I deflect a blow from their spear, but I can't get it away entirely, so it grazes my shoulder.
Okay. I'm going to come to Black Russel last because he's in the most difficult position in terms of weapons. Cuniobacha, what do you do?
My instinct is to go and help and back up Black Russel, but I'm an angry young man. So I think I've got to pull my stick out and to start swinging, unfortunately, because it doesn't get me any closer to God. So I will start swinging. I think that I will use die to
so
strike.
So call on the gods for this. Well, it won't cost
doesn't
you
cost
anything.
anything, but it. All right, I'm going to swing. That's with soul and +1 for fight. So this is with a +3.
And it ignores armor, of course.
Yes.
With the might of Nodens behind it.
So that's a 10.
So you have lots of options. You can exchange harm and do one of the bullet-pointed actions, or you can do 2 of the bullet points.
Let me think. I think I want to... Oh, I think this is absolutely appropriate. I want to exchange harm and draw the danger to me.
Oh, yes.
I have pride, and I'm gonna call them to me that I will strike them down.
Okay.
Nodens has spoken.
So, so you do 1 point of harm. It ignores their armor. You take 2 points of harm. Do you have any armor?
No, I do not.
So you take 2.
Die is to harm.
Say again?
Die is to harm. To harm, close, armor.
Yeah.
Armor.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, beg your pardon. Yes. Yeah. Round we go. So, Black Russel, what are you going to do now that the bow is out of action?
I'm just going to discard that. I'm pretty pissed off that one, they're going for what I consider mine, that ring, and 2, they all seem to be pulling in against my cousin Cuniobacha. So I would like to activate Wrath and basically just dive in there. Not a fucking chance. Get your hands off him and off my property.
Fine. So you give in to the temptation of wrath. You reduce any debt you owe to your god by 1, and fight with your knife.
Indeed. So here we go. Wrath. That's not bad. A roll of 8 plus my 2 plus 1, 11. 1 off of 12.
So
11.
So exchange harm and use one of those actions, or use 2 of those actions.
So I'm still slightly confused by the inflict 1 harm, even if you had avoided exchanging harm.
Yes, that would mean that you can do some harm and not take any.
Okay, but they have armor.
They do.
So nothing would happen.
What can I tell you?
Nothing would happen.
That's what I can tell you.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to go for exchange harm and pick 1, which must be spot a weak point and inflict 1 extra harm.
Which means that you inflict 1 point of harm. You take 2 minus whatever.
I've got armor of 1.
Okay. I think we've used both of the traps now, so they are dragging themselves free of these bear traps or whatever improvised equivalent you set up. But we do have an advantage in play because of Icenius's decision. So I think I am going to go to Icenius first then, because he has established some advantage in this fracas. What do you do?
I think that these aren't looking like great odds. They outnumber us. They're bigger than us. So I think that I'm choosing this point to draw out. I'm going to lay my spear aside for a second and draw out both of the relics of St. George and just observe, just see whether it has any effect on them.
I noticed that your god holds 3 debts on you.
But yes, that's 3 rather than 5 now, because I've activated both greed and pride. Pride because I'm convinced I'm right, and greed because I've become enamored of the notion that I will be much fated in my order if I return at least 1 and maybe 2 if I can convince the Abbey relics of St. George to them.
Okay.
So I'm not willing to give them up like in these fights. I want them to take back and get my reward.
Okay, so you're taking these out, and you're just, what, are you looking about you, or are you just not doing something?
I think I'm going to look about me, because it was a deliberately chosen move to kind of bring these things out and flourish them and see whether they notice.
I mean, I suppose what I'm getting at here is, you are seeking to threaten them with these items. That is what you are doing. Because you've had them, you're flourishing them. You want to see if that has any effect. Okay.
Yes.
Let me give it a moment while I go to Cuniobacha, because they are turning away from Hoel and heading to Cuniobacha, who has drawn all danger to him. So Cuniobacha, they seem now to be focused on you. And I think probably Nodens whispers in your ear. And Noden says, "Let us see if you best creatures of the old gods that I have sent to test you. And I will reduce your debt by 1, but tell you that you are at disadvantage on your next roll." What do you do?
I think that I will first make sure that I adjust my debt so I can remember it.
Oh, I've just done it. Sorry.
Oh, you've done it.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'll have forgotten.
Well, Nodens has spoken, and I think that I am forced to charge in with disadvantage.
Okay. Remember that you can cancel disadvantage. There is an advantage in play if you wanted to cancel.
No, I'll let the actual warriors do that.
Okay. So roll 3 dice, take the lower 2 as you seek to make another one of these creatures favored by Nodens, god of waters.
Yes, there is that. So 3d6. So that is, even with disadvantage, with the +3, that is a 7.
Wow. Who'd have thought it? So you get to exchange harm or choose one of those effects from the list.
Let's exchange harm. That's 2 harm, armor piercing.
Fine.
And I will
and
2 on myself.
2. And that something has an effect on them when you strike them with your staff there. How do we know that this is a competition between the right hand and the left hand of the old gods? Because we've not spent a lot of the special effects budget so far.
I think we see that there is, hard to see in the shadow. Perhaps the firelight is glinting on this, but we see a serpent and a hound, and they are, the hound has its teeth buried in the serpent's neck, and the serpent has its teeth buried in the hound's neck, and they are writhing there, just flickering in and out in the light.
I like that. Hoel, what do you do?
I wanted to actually jump in and protect Cuniobacha because I see that he is outnumbered and that all of them are ignoring us and fighting him. So I would like to jump in there. I see that they are basically turning their backs and running at him. So I just push through them and stand side by side to Cuniobacha and want to deflect some of the blows from my axe and protect
someone with steel.
Six plus 2, it's an 8. What does 8 give me?
On a 7+, you protect them and say how much harm is deflected from them to you. Now, there were 2, I think, that we could give back to Cuniobacha and move to you if you wanted to take them all.
Yes.
And so how much of that actually makes a difference to you?
So I activated Duck and Dive, so I assume that I have +1 armor for the entire fight, so I have 2 armor, so that nothing gets through.
Fine. So didn't that work well? Cuniobacha, you owe Hoel a debt. So both of you make a note of that. Let's go round, because I'm leaving to the end of this kind of cycle to determine whether the artifacts have had any effect at all. Black Russel.
I will stab one of them again. Is there still an advantage around?
Do you know, I think there still is.
I'm going to roll with that advantage. And I probably needed it. 7 total, even with +3.
Exactly. So exchange harm, or would you like to have some other effect?
It's really got to be some other effect because I'm not going to do any damage.
Okay.
So what can the other effect be?
Well, any one of those ones on the bullet points.
I will deflect their blow and take -1 harm.
So you will exchange harm, and then you'll take less of it.
Yes.
Okay, rather than not exchange harm at all and do something else. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So deflect their blow and take -1 harm.
Fine. So you take 1 point of harm. It's taken by your leathers. You do 1 point of harm on them. It's taken by their skin. So you have no effect on the overarching. It must be said, Icenius, that watching what just happened, it didn't look like they were suddenly cowering away from either of these artifacts or that you believe to have power.
I think I need to do more to draw their attention in that case. So with the horseshoe in one hand and the dagger made from the horseshoe in the other, I bang them together over my head and bellow by St. Michael and St. George, stand and face me.
Okay, so so you do that. There were 5 of them. The 5th one, who's not really been engaged with anyone particularly at the minute, is picking something up from the ground. I'll give you that one, Icenius, because you will be observing this rather than in the hurly-burly. So let me go back to Cuniobacha. Hoel is now standing, watching your back, Cuniobacha. Do you have any? What are you going to do?
Are they still standing? Are they still there?
I'm afraid that they are. You have clearly done a significant amount of harm to the one in front of you, but there are 3 others and the one who's picking up something from behind them.
Then I think that I will I will move to aid Hoel.
Okay.
Because I think that my pride has been, I think I've gotten bit hard enough and realized that I would have collapsed if Hoel had not stepped in the way. And essentially my action is going to be to help.
Fine, because that would allow that would kick your pride out, wouldn't it? So
Yes.
let's see how that goes, just so we know what Hoel is pitching at. So go ahead and roll to help. I think this is with steel.
Makes sense. So get rid of dice. 2, submit. So that's 4 and 4 plus 1 is a 9.
9. So that will give you that's a success on help. You will add, I'm just looking at things, you will add 1 Hoel to your roll to fight these things.
Yes. So seeing that we are now fighting them, both of us at once, Hoel is going to do something very weird because he really prides his hacks, but when he sees that Russell actually just tries to stab them with his dagger and doing nothing, Hoel is actually going to throw the axe and shout to Russell, "Stop slacking!" And he will throw the axe to Russell, and we see that he will put his hands together and he will point at the air and shout, "Tunor, give me your lightning power!" And suddenly there is they lit in lightning, and he just starts punching the one in front with this lightning bracelets. So yeah.
Did you pick 1 extra characteristic for this attack?
Is it permanent, or do I choose this on
you choose
case
it
by case basis?
No, this is the nature of the attack. So which one are you wanting?
Let's go with more harm, because it seems we are getting nowhere right now.
Okay.
I like it, but I mean, mechanically, more harm to fists. Maybe you're better keeping your axe.
No, I'm right now to harm hand magic, so harm hand magic.
Yeah, I'll take the axe. Excellent, thanks.
So 2 harm, hand magic. Go for it. Roll plus savage, and punch this fish beast.
Yeah.
From the deep.
Yeah. But yeah. Okay. As I'm punching them, what I actually did is I throw the axe slightly behind Russell, so that he will have to maybe go back and grab it, because my point is that if I succeed, I want to grab them onto me so that he can sneak on them and
Let's see how it goes.
Use the killer move. So let's see how it goes. Although we'll see how it goes. 7 plus 2, it's a 9.
There's always that option to owe your god a debt in order to invoke your reputation as a monster hunter.
Of course.
I just want to remind you of that option.
Of course. I completely forgot to mark rough for this move, but we will do it for the next one if I will remember.
Okay.
Yes, I owe my guts a move, and I'm a monster hunter. I know how to fight these things.
You do.
And I have a team that I can cooperate, and we can take them down together. So that's actually most.
Oh no, hang on. You don't need to invoke because you've got the +1 from Cuniobacha. The help.
But that's 7 plus 2. It's still a 9.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were. I beg your pardon. Okay, go ahead. So do that.
So yeah, I'm exchanging harm, and I'm now drawing all of them to me. creating an opportunity for Russell to,
Okay. Well, the electrical burst of lightning. Is this lightning from the sky, or does it emerge from your hands, or the bracelets?
He extends his hands up, and there's actually a lightning strike that hits the bracelet, but it doesn't electrocute him. It just electrocutes the bracelets.
And then
punching
crash.
time.
Okay. And that magic will transcend any physical armor that they have. So that does 2 points of harm, and that one stumbles back under the power of the blow, to be supported by 2 who are now retreating into the water. They are focused on Hoel. What does this allow Black Russell to do?
I would like to use Thief, and basically, while that one's going for the ring, I would like to sort of like sweep it out of his hand.
Okay. I don't see why that can't be an implication of the thief move. Go ahead. I don't think it's the way I quite conceived it, but I roll with it. Roll plus sense. Pick your moment.
I rolled double 5. So, and my sense would boost that up to 11.
On 10 plus, pick 3 from the bullets. You get what you were looking for. I'm assuming that one. So which of the other ones isn't true?
I get away without them noticing. Basically, it thinks it's got it. But literally, I just managed to sweep it out of his hand. I don't think there's any point in incriminating anybody here.
It depends. It depends how vindictive they are, I would say to you, Russell.
Well, no, I'm hoping it doesn't notice, so I'll go with the first 3. I get what I'm looking for, I get away without notice, and I don't leave something that incriminates me.
So conceivably, they will go away from this believing somebody else possesses it.
Yeah.
Yeah? I think they think that Hoel has it, because he's just hit them with this lightning strike, and now it's gone. These great horny clawed hands, clearly not terribly sensitive, scooped it up, and now it's gone. So Hoel, they are absolutely focused on you now. Icenius, what do you do?
I think I want to thinking of opportunity to use to activate my temptation of pride here. I am still convinced, despite all evidence to the contrary, that these artifacts of St. George are going to do something decisive against these creatures. So I think, well, if clanging them over my head doesn't work, if wielding them and brandishing them doesn't work, I'm going to see whether going for a more direct approach works. And I take the horseshoe, holding it like a knuckle duster, and stick it into one of their backs.
Okay. Hit them with it.
And I'm not going for hit them with it as in fight. I think I'm just kind of, I'm pushing it into their back, like looking to see whether contact does everything, because I want to activate pride, and that seems like a dangerous thing to do. So I can have -2 to face danger.
Well,
are you trying to be banishing an unnatural creature from your presence?
I don't know, because I want to find out why they're here. Like, I'm not sure I want them to go away. I want them to pay attention to me and, like, hopefully stop and listen.
But I have to say, it does sound like you are trying to banish them.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's. By the way, have I misinterpreted how temptations work here?
Well, you tell me how you're interpreting it. I think that you currently have greed and pride at work.
Yes.
They will stay. They will sit there until you activate one of the moves that would be impacted by them. So if you
okay.
yeah. So if you
Yeah.
face danger, I'd make it an option for you. You could either clear one of them at -2 or both of them at -4.
oh, that sounds too much fun. I think I'm going to go for -4. I think that's the biggest modifier I've ever had.
Okay. So I think this is face danger simply to avoid harm when you try to touch them with this horseshoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go for it. I think that's probably steel unless you've got a better option.
Steel works. So that's a -3 altogether. Let's have a look. Wow, that went extraordinarily well. So that's an 8, even with the -3.
That's quite remarkable. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to go for -4.
He did.
Yes, but
+1.
I've added my +1 for
okay.
sense just to get the result.
Well, that's quite remarkable, isn't it? So, so you do this, but the cost is that you are going to take 2 harm as one. No, you wanted to do this without harm. So I think that the what's a reasonable cost for this? I think that they rend your mail. Yeah.
Yep. Or
sorry, they rend your shield. Beg your pardon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, my shield is perhaps they rip at it with a clawed fist and
throw it into the water.
Yeah. It comes off.
But it does no harm to you. And there is a smell of singeing fish. There is a smell of burning fish and flesh, and they begin to retreat.
Is this not the word of God move, Icenius?
No, well, that's
when you try to banish an unnatural creature or monster from your presence.
We talked about that, but I think that what Bodhi wanted to do was to go with that face danger, just to touch it and see what would happen. The fact that it appears to be forcing them to retreat is not them being banished by the word of God, but something else is at work, perhaps. Yeah? So that does frighten them. Cuniobacha, you helped Hoel. What's your plan now?
I want to reach into their mind, because my assumption is that these are servitors of the mothers. That's my thinking. And what I want to do is I want to try and with the mind of the monster, I want to figure out where they're going, because that's our next step.
Okay. Then I think that's a good use of In the Mind of a Monster. Roll plus soul, please.
Okay. That is a 12.
So you hold 2. Where are they going now? I think, or what are they planning to do next? I think they are planning to retreat, and you get a sudden flash of, if it isn't the head woman of that fenland village, it is someone a lot like her in their minds. Is there another question you want to ask me?
That sort of tells me like who they're going to. I want to have a sense of direction.
Fine. Then I will absolutely confirm to you they are heading to that fenland village where you started.
I will say, Hoel, you are correct. They are headed back to that village. While they may not be at the service of the woman who sent them, who sent us here originally, or gave us that task originally, there's something going on. So let us make haste and pursue them.
Oh, thank you, Cuniobacha. It's nice that someone agrees with me.
I do need to ask if anyone is going to interfere with their retreat into the water.
I think now that I know where they're headed, I think that I again interpret this as Saint Michael and God speaking through Cuniobacha, and kind of go with it.
And so, if nobody else interferes, they will retreat into the water, carrying the one that you did most harm to, and you will see the ripples in the water heading away in the direction you arrived here. It must be said that it is pretty much full dark now. Are you going to go in the dark, or do you want to wait until the light? I tell you what, think about it while we have a break. Is 5 minutes long enough? Okay, back in our seats at about 16 minutes past the hour. See you then. Okay, we're back from our break. There was some learning there, I think, and the consensus seems to be to follow Hoel's instincts. But the question I have is, do you go now in the dark or tomorrow at dawn?
I suggest we continue now. We must progress now. We cannot let them gain a step on us. We must follow them.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to lose the trail if we don't.
As much as I'd love to agree with you, we would be at a great disadvantage on the water in the night, and there is no way we can outrun them on the water. So they will get to the village anyway before us. I think we should rest. I will tend to your wounds, and we will go in the morning. We already had 2 encounters and fighting them, and this place seems to be full of water creatures. We are at a great disadvantage fighting them in the water.
What do you make of that, Black Russell?
I'm going to look at my wounds and say, I do agree with him. As much as it pains me, we ain't ever going to out-punt giant fish people swimming. That's just not going to happen. You know, we need daylight to navigate.
Icenius, are you inclined to go with Cuniobacha and vote for an immediate departure or not?
That's my inclination, but I think seeing two other people disagreeing, I think I grumble and kind of go with the former majority. I'm also interested in getting my shield back if I can.
It's out there in the water. You're welcome to swim for it.
How did it really go flying far?
Oh yeah.
Oh, in that case, no, shield's gone. So, but I think that I can't in good conscience ask wounded people to push on.
Gotta kill these guys. Sit myself down.
So bind wounds, I think, is the move we're talking about, Hoel. I think Cuniobacha is in the worst situation, isn't he?
You're muted.
All the wounds would disappear overnight anyway.
I was gonna say that if you are going to rest, then you will get those wounded boxes back.
If Hoel hadn't stepped in, I would have had all those boxes marked. It would have been one step away from the great beyond.
So, well done, Hoel. That has to be worth a debt. Oh no, we did a debt, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, so dawn, looking a lot like that view behind Paul, I think, as the sun rises over this landscape. You have a fair idea how to get back, so I'm not going to sweat blood over that. I'm very happy to cut to you coming into sight, probably in the mid-afternoon, because that's the kind of time it took you to get here.
While we are traveling or while we are camping at night, because I feel completely lost and uninformed, Hoel would like to chat with Icenius and ask about. So, Icenius, you have seen to drag us here to gain knowledge. You seem to found another dose of those horseshoes, but do we have any idea how they will help us? Do we have a plan?
they certainly seem to have an effect on the creatures. They drove them off, and so if we find ourselves in a fight again, they will certainly aid us in that. But I was hoping that these creatures would be amenable to reason and could speak with us, but that didn't seem to be holding true. I think the most guidance we have right now is from Cuniobacha.
You see a little doubt and a little sarcasm in Hoel's. Oh yeah, they drove them off. Yeah, completely. They were running like scared rats. Yes.
Right from the start. As soon as they got on the bank, they ran away.
Well, that's. I hope that this plan will work, because you remember we have all seen what this elder of the village did to this marshman that attacked the. What was his name? Not the count, not the.
The tearing head and upper spine out of bodies.
Yes.
You're referring to, yes.
Yes.
She's a strong woman.
Yes.
I would like to suggest an approach, if I may, which is that we approach the village stealthily by leaving the punt out of sight of the village and basically swimming in underneath the houses and kind of observing quietly.
I don't know whether the silence around the campfire is an indication of what a brilliant plan, or my goodness me, that does worry me somewhat.
No, I think that is a brilliant plan. I just wasn't thinking it would come from Icenius. Just sort of like, by the hand of God, let's sneak in there and fuck them up.
Cuniobacha, I think, has a view.
Cuniobacha, you can do that, and I will certainly wait until noise is made, but I am not going to swim in this under a village of fish monster people. It seems to me that maybe putting our heads in the lion's jaw, as it were.
I like the plan myself.
I think I come up
You
with
said that before we went to kill the Duke's family, right? I believe that was the other time you said the similar thing.
That was a sound plan. It just didn't execute very well.
I sense an opportunity over there. If the two of you wants to go on with the plan, I will be on the boat with Cuniobacha, and I will, slowly paddle around so that they will be focused on us, giving you an opportunity to observe or approach stealthily. Is your bow fixed? Because I would really like my axe back.
Yes, I will give you your axe back, and I will attempt to fix.
Yeah, I'm prepared to have the bow fixed.
Is there how much wooden stuff, Alan, is left in this sort of temple complex? I mean,
almost nothing. Almost nothing.
Almost nothing.
No, and what there is probably rotten and mouldy in the damp. What were you looking for?
I was going to try and fashion some kind of shield for Icenius.
Oh, I see.
No,
I don't think so. He might be able to hack, using Hoel's axe, he might be able to hack a little bit of oak tree down. But
there ain't many trees in the fence.
Fictionally, kind of a spear is something you can use two-handed, so I think I just revert to using it two-handed.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've got a plan. Let's go to the village and.
So I think that there's a montage as you cross the fens in the mist as the sun comes up, and as the day proceeds, the sun gets higher and it's warmer and warmer until in mid to late afternoon, when the sun is well past its prime. But because it's so flat, there's just no shade to be had, really. I think we'll have you come to a point where you can see the smoke of their campfires, the fires that they had lit on that kind of central floating reed platform. I think that you will be able to see those perhaps 100, 150 yards away, out of sight.
Before we go in, let's just get this straight. When do you want us to start rain? Do we wait for your cue, Hoel, to rain down fire?
That's really hard to say. I'm not sure there will be raining down fire. So far, we know that Cuniobacha said that they retreated to the village. So we definitely should go and confront the village elder. And
okay, so basically, you want me to wait until fighting starts. You don't want me to just go guns a-blazing.
We'll go confront her, and I'm
Okay.
certain that you'll hear something.
Yep, that's fine.
Perhaps our
I'll try and
screams.
keep you in view. Maybe Icenius from, he'll come up through one of their soil traps. Yeah.
yes, we will be definitely. We want to talk to her and draw their attention to us. And if you can position yourself to somehow help us out of this, because we'll be surrounded by the entire village, so we'll be in a really
Icenius can truly spear a man from behind.
I'm inclined as this almost the humidity and the heat begins to get to you, this jungle-like heat. The rule of thumb generally is never get off the boat. But it appears Icenius and Black Russel are going to get off the boat.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we see then, Black Russel, as you slip into the water?
Well, I think first you'll see us sort of you'll definitely see Black Russell getting some sort of mud and sort of like pulling it over his face, and then when he sort of turns around to face the camera, you just see the whites of his eyes. The rest of him is fully cammed up, sort of thing. And literally, I think you see him sort of lie on the side of the boat, one either side, and just roll into the water as the punt continues, going sun's hopefully. The punt sort of drifts off, and we just sort of float for a while. Let the boat draw the attention away from us, and then you see us sort of either sort of like pulling ourselves through the reeds slowly, that sort of thing.
Fine. And so Cuniobacha, I'll ask you, because again, I'm assuming that Hoel is doing the hard work given his bulk. There's a kind of reed bank, these kind of 6-foot high reeds. Round the corner of that is the lagoon, at the far side of which, 50 yards away maybe, is where this village is. So what do we see then as this bit of the action takes place?
I think I'm concentrating to hear the whispers of the thoughts of these monsters.
Okay.
Whatever is carried on the wind.
So in the mind of the monster, is this what we're talking about?
Yes, please.
Okay. Go for it. Roll plus soul.
Okay. Get rid of these dice. Oh, no, I'm just going to re-roll these dice. I'm going to regret this, but we're going to do that. Well, that's a 14.
So the regret is not quite where you thought he was going to be.
No.
So that is as good as it gets. If only there was a bonus for more than 10 plus in this move. So which two questions? And I suppose I need to know where you're focusing. Is this focused at the village or around the village?
I think at the village, because I'm still wondering if what is going on is not centered here, but somewhere nearby. So that is at least part of my thinking.
So specifically, what are they now planning to do?
Yeah, I think what they're now planning to do is the most important thing to me.
Okay, then I think that what they are planning to do is to attack those that are that have made an incursion. Attack those who have threatened them. Yeah, attack those who have threatened them. That's a better description. Because as you come around that bank and just get a slightly different angle on the village, you will see that there is a boat or the mast of a boat above one of the huts.
The Duke has sent his people, the Earl, rather.
Would you like to ask me another question, or
Oh, wow. Can I invert that last one and ask how can their attention be avoided?
Oh yeah, I think that's reasonable. I have second thoughts about bullet-pointed questions all the time.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that you can ask. I think that if you come in slowly along the edge of the reed bank, where you're hoping Russell and Icenius have made their way, that provides you with the best cover. And I think that there is no one looking your way. I guess that's how the mind of the monster works, is that what you are seeing is no one looking this way.
And I will bend over and I will whisper that to Hoel and say, let us follow that path.
Hoel, what do we see next?
Yeah, Hoyle follows Cuniobacha advice because he knows that he's good and so yes. So what did you sense? I think I see the mast of the ship.
It is either Gotefrid or it is the Earl that sent us here. And I suspect it is Gotefrid. The Earl has no reason to come out here. He sent us out to do the job, but Gotefrid wants my cousin's head and likely wants what Icenius took from him.
Oh, so
Icenius still possesses that cross, and that may be our most important weapon against these foes as well.
very well. Yes, I will try to, as you pointed out, move the board further and let's observe the situation in the village.
Yes.
So Hoel would like to take the boat in, as Cuniobacha pointed, and do it quietly, so paddle very slowly, and also listen in, and look around. Do we see that the battle is ongoing? Do we see that the battle has been fought and lost by one of the sides?
Okay, I think that given that you are trying to approach without being seen, you are therefore choosing an approach where you can't see much, because it will reduce the chance of you being seen. There is no sound of battle. I will tell you that. Yeah.
Sure.
I think that I will ask Black Russell first because he's sneaky. So I'm going to assume that it is Black Russell who is kind of leading them through, leading Icenius through this reed bed to a position of advantage. So what do we see as you're doing that, Black Russell, and what do you want to do?
I think you'll see sort of like hand signals only at this stage. Russell sort of in his element here, sneaking up and scumming people over. So, I think you'll see us pulling through this reed bed, with a punt sort of quite a bit in front. And then we'll get to a sort of junction point where there's a lone tree on a sort of a hillock coming out of the water. And I'll sort of motion to Icenius sort of, onwards and sort of point towards the village. And I'll say, I'm going up the tree. And at that stage, I will sort of try and get the tree between me and the village, and then slink up the tree to try and get to a vantage point while Icenius, hopefully, his choice, goes forwards.
For the same reason, I think that no one is particularly looking in the direction of the punt. No one's looking in this direction either. But I think that you will be able to see Russell when you get up a little bit into this
Yeah, get
tree.
a vantage.
You will be able to see something of what's going on in the village. But before I tell you that, let's see where Icenius ends up. So Icenius, this tree is about 20 paces maybe from the edge of this cluster of villages. There's no solid ground between the tree and the village, but there are reed beds. So what do we see Icenius doing?
Remind me of the construction of this village.
Okay. It's a ring of about half a dozen huts on stilts.
Mm-hmm.
They all you will remember the description Hoel gave you of the village that they built near Sinham.
Mm-hmm.
There tends to be a little kind of platform running around the outside of these round huts. They are made of reeds bound together and pinned together for the most part. The floor is made out of really whatever wood they can find. So it's not a very solid wooden floor. And they are all connected to this central kind of floating platform of reeds by little kind of walkways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
So I think where I'm trying to get is, I want to throw caution to the wind here. I think I'm trying to get under the stilts. I think I'm trying to be under the village itself. And I think at this point, I'm convinced that something is going on here and that it's key. So I think I want to, as I'm swimming silently through the water, I think I am murmuring a prayer to God under my breath so that I can, to try and achieve some divine intervention, to be somewhere important when I need to be. And I want to be somewhere where I can hear something important.
Okay, well, let's see, because God has not been terribly kind to you yet. And I have to say, you can reduce your debt to them from 3 to 2 and roll with disadvantage. God is a bastard.
Yes, I think I'm going to keep my debt at 3 because I rolled before I said anything, before you said that.
Sadly, I get to use the third one as a hold. So roll another dice. So what have you got so far?
I have snake eyes so far.
Oh, well, then I won't let you bother. We won't bother then.
Yes,
it's not going to get any worse than that. So mark experience. My God, you're doing well on experience today, some of you. You think you are exactly where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay.
Yep. That sounds like Icenius.
God has other plans for you and moves in a mysterious way. So Icenius is well placed. I can now tell, I think, Black Russell, that you can see that the ship is that of Lord Gotefrid, your nemesis. Yeah, and it looks like he's got the 5 men that we've seen him traveling about the country with, and another 10 men, which comprise the crew of the ship that he's using, presumably to get across the Wash to his estates in East Anglia. So that's what you will see, and I think so as everybody knows that, because I think wherever Icenius is, he will see that. And I think that the punt will come into a better view of what is happening. And it looks like Lord Gotefrid has disembarked his men and they are kind of lined up 2 deep along the edge of this central area. And he is haranguing the people. Let me start by going back round to Cuniobacha? What are you inclined to suggest?
What he's doing? Haranguing the people?
Shouting at them. Shouting at them.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds like he's demanding his rights. Which is odd. What rights has he got here?
Yeah, I kind of put my hand up like we need to hear more of this. There's something strange going on here.
That sounds like look about you, Cuniobacha.
Oh, does it?
I think it does, you know. It just sounded like that to me.
May I take my advantage from the asking questions from earlier?
You can.
That will help offset the -2 that I begin with on this.
Because looking about you requires a degree of patience, Cuniobacha,
Yes.
not something with which you are widely gifted.
Yes, so I'm going to roll with advantage, but I'm going to be rolling with a -1.
Oh yes, -1 altogether, yeah.
Yes, so that's an 8.
Oh, well, that could have gone a lot worse. So you have
Yes.
one hole to ask me about the situation, location, someone, something. Take your pick.
Yeah, let me think how I want to put this here. Let's ask the basic question. What right is he demanding? Like, this isn't his area. I mean, unless he's just asking for my cousin, which seems weird. Like, that doesn't seem like the phrasing for it. So what right is he demanding?
As you listen carefully, he's shouting at them and he's saying, you owe me fealty. You promised me fealty. You must deliver what I demanded of you. You must attack Sinham.
I turn and I say, Gotefrid is in league with them and is using them as a weapon.
That complicates the situation, but it seems like they are not very willing to do it.
Can you get us? We need to break their boat.
I think I could. Oh wait, yeah. I think I could manage that. Make a hole in it and make it sink. I think I
Then
might be
let's
able to
do
it.
that.
Very well.
Because there is no one on board the ship. He has unloaded all his resource.
Oh yeah. At the very least, we can cut it off and push it away, so they will have to leap into the bog to get at it.
Now, fictionally, you've been coming at this from the opposite side of the village. So you'll have to you will have to get round to the other side of the village to get to the boat.
Unless you want me to hold the boat here and you swim over to it, Hoel. He's been in the water, so I know he has no fear of it. So,
well, while you're discussing that, let me ask what Black Russel makes of this, because I think those shouts are enough for all of you to hear, even 20 odd paces away, Russel.
We had a really good plan, but I hate Gotefrid of Len. So I'm going to activate Wrath again and get him in my sights and say, this is the time that you will die, Gotefrid.
Have you got any debts to cash in for that?
I haven't, but the gods could owe me one. I think it does. The plus or minus does go that way.
If
I will, to be honest, I will probably call it in to activate my reputation as outlaw.
I think that is such a nice idea. It's never occurred to me that someone would willingly do something that would put God in their debt. But I think the one true God might be quite happy to see a Saxon lord brought low. as I make a mental note to just review the rules around that. So yeah, God, the one true God, owes Black Russel the Outlaw a debt.
I will probably call it in right now. But let's just see. I could roll a phenomenal number. Okay, the top 2 dice. Here we go with Savage, which I am +2 at. I have no advantage, but I do get +1 for Wrath. Brilliant. I rolled 7, +2 because of Savage, +1 takes it to 10. Now, if I activate Outlaw, will that take it to 12?
I think this is such an outlaw-y thing to do that you could invoke your reputation, owe God a debt, or call in the one that they owe you, because clearly God is a lot keener on you than on Icenius. So go ahead and up that from success to phenomenal success.
Okay. Now, looking at the rule book,
Of course, if you exchange harm, that fictionally there is no way that he can harm you.
I'm definitely going for that. So on 12 plus, I'm thinking either now, again, mechanically, he's unsuspecting that an arrow is going to shoot out of nowhere.
I think he's entirely unsuspecting.
So is the grievous wound 2 times normal, and then how does it interact with kill an unsuspecting person if I do grievous?
I think I have to treat them as cumulative.
Very well. I'm not going to drive him from the scene. I mean, he may be some sort of super monster, and that may have been a better choice. But literally, I want this to go right in his heart. I want to see blood dripping from his mouth as he coughs and tries to say something, and maybe try and raise his hand in my direction. I want him on his knees, low.
Okay, so exactly how much harm is that then?
I think that is 8 harm.
Well, if that was a player character, that would fill the entire player character track. So I will give you a decision of whether you want him dead or simply grievously wounded and dying.
Dying. Because I think with Wrath, I want to stand over his body and maybe a little spittle in his face as he takes his final breath.
Okay, so an arrow strikes him in the chest from nowhere. And his men immediately cluster around him. There is chaos. Icenius, what do you do when you see this? Because you are closest.
I'm utterly shocked by this, but up until just now, I would have been furious at Russell. But after hearing what Gotefrid is doing, I feel kind of that was almost a righteous move, and so I am. I think I'm looking to take advantage of the confusion. I'm still looking to find things out because I still don't know the heart of this. And so I want to get close to some of the marsh folk that were being harangued by these men who are now in confusion, and I want to listen in again.
Okay, so this sounds like, I think I'm not going to use look about you for this. I'm going to use face danger because I think it's about getting close to them. So I think this is face danger, sense or steal is what I'm thinking, unless you have a different view.
I think this feels more like sense than steal. Not that it makes a mechanical difference, but I'll go with sense.
And I will tell you that God is going to shit on you again and cash in the third, one of the 3 debts you owe them to make you act with disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because you're not in the place you thought you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
not as advantageous a position as you thought.
So even with disadvantage, that is a 7 overall.
Well, there you go. You are spitting in God's eye left, right, and center. So reduce the debt you owe by 1. And on a 7, you get there, but there is a cost. I think that you get close enough to hear something of the reaction of the Fenlanders. But I think you are seen by Gotefrid's men. Okay?
Okay.
And what I think you will sense is kind of, they almost seem as though they're expecting something. It's almost as though they would do this. It's more in their body language. It's kind of questioning. It's you're shouting all this at us. There is something we're waiting for that will show that we should do it. They're waiting for a sign. Should we put it that way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Now, back in the punt. Now only about 15 paces away from the edge of the village. You've come in, you are in a little kind of bit of a little bay, a small kind of break in the reeds where you can see this happening, hear what's going on. But have you decided what you're going to do? Hoel, the question I think was, were you going to swim for it or not?
My initial plan was to take the advantage of nobody's looking. Probably everyone's focused on the Lord of Land and his men, and just like take the boat through the middle of the pond, right, and hide it behind the docked ship.
Okay, so that sounds like face danger. I think that probably is more about sense than anything else. It's about knowing when to hold and when to push on. Does that seem reasonable to you?
Sure.
Okay, so roll plus sense.
Uh, 7 plus 1, it's an 8.
Yeah, I'd like you to re-roll the 6 because I've just remembered that you owe the gods 5. So would you re-roll the high one and see if it's less than 6 and reduce your debt by 1? How did I allow you to get that far in hock?
I don't know. I rolled the third die, and now it's a 6.
Okay.
5 plus 1, it's a 6.
It's a 6. Reduce your debt by 1. You are...
Help. I have a specific move that allows me to use reading the people's thoughts to assist.
I think that's very reasonable. Whispers in their minds. When you read people's thought, blah, blah, blah.
So what do you think is the appropriate role for that?
I think that you are trying to spot. You're saying to Hoel, stop here, move on. Stop here, move on. Yeah? I think that's probably sense again.
Okay.
Yeah? Does that seem fair to you?
That seems fair. I'm going to roll, submit. So that's an 11 to assist.
Then that gets you out of failure into success. Now it's 11. If you
not quite enough to boost it up a step.
Unless you wanted to invoke the pagan mystic reputation.
Yeah, I've burned some debts. Let's do that.
Or I mean, do you owe Hoel a debt? Because if you owe Hoel a debt,
yes,
that would have the same effect. So
then I'll do that.
Yeah. So if you cash in a debt, they can ask you to help or hinder, and it will be as if you rolled with a 12.
Then let's spend that and do that.
Fine. So
because he saved me, so I'm pushing myself to the limit.
Fine. So that debt is used up, and Hoel's marginal success becomes a full success, and you are behind the boat, the ship of Lord Gotefrid, while chaos is erupting in front. His men have formed a ring around him to protect him. The locals don't appear at this point to be taking advantage. Black Russell, you have seen the effect. Now what do you do?
I think I'll unleash a standard arrow this time into one of Godfrid's men, try and sort of disperse them. I don't think I'm in a position to really sort of cajole the locals into doing something. So yeah, I think my only option is really attack until they return fire.
Okay, I think that this one you'll get the same kind of advantages you got last time.
Okay.
But this time, because they're watching, I think this will be the last bit of surprise you can get out of this situation.
I'm totally more than happy to take that. Okay, here we go.
Roll plus savage.
Ooh. 5, 6, 7.
So you can exchange harm with one of them, or you could use one of the standard bullet pointed.
I will exchange harm with one of them. Maybe he gets a shot back at me.
No. Remember, this is surprise, so you will do harm.
Yeah, do harm. So 2, but with my killer instinct, that's 4.
Fine. You take another one down. So, an arrow in the throat of one of the men guarding Gotefrid, and suddenly people are pointing in your direction. Yeah. Okay. Icenius, you got close enough to get a sense of the people's reaction to this. Do you want to do anything with that bit of information?
Let me just check that I've got this right. They're waiting for a sign before they
decide
on whether they're going to aid Gotefrid.
Yeah.
Okay. Icenius is I'm getting very kind of fed up with being kept in the dark here and not knowing what's going on.
Oh, so the thinking man's militant Christian.
I think that, well, thinking to a certain extent, because I want to, if I can see the head of the village, the mother, I want to confront her and ask what in heaven's name is going on.
Okay.
I want to go pop up in front of her.
Well, I think you're still not in the right place. So she is on the far side of this from where you are. So you will have to get up and go to her. Is that what you choose to do?
I think so, yes, because my patience has reached its limit. I need to know what's going on.
So you clamber up onto this central platform. You make your way from underneath one of these stilted huts, and you clamber up onto the central thing behind the people. She's over there. The Gotefrid's people are on the far side of the villagers, and we now know that Hoel and Cuniobacha are behind their ship. Yeah? That's when the water around the village erupts. I think that's a good time to take a break. Shall we say 6 minutes past the hour? Fine. Okay, we're back from our break. So we left it with the water around the village erupts. And I think probably, yes, scaly-skinned, dark creatures, larger than normal men with bone-tipped spears, are emerging from around the village. Russell, 2 of them emerge at the bottom of your tree.
Okay.
It must be said, I think, Hoel and Cuniobacha, that their focus appears to be the village, not the ship. So let me come to you first then. You've just located yourself behind this ship. What's the plan now, Cuniobacha?
I will follow behind Hoel. I'll follow his lead.
Hoel, you got them here. What do you want to do now you are here? You're very quiet, Pavel. I don't know if that's your gain or...
Yeah, I forgot about the mic. I usually have my mic, big one over here, and I'm not used to headphones. Yeah, my lead. I think we see this like kind of like a slightly comedic scene where the Hoel is just like, you know, pulled himself up so that he's looking above the docked boat, and seeing that there is like he's not Duke, he's Lord and his man. Lord appears to have been mortally wounded, but I think we still haven't seen him die. Yes, he's still standing or something.
He is lying but supportive and doing his best to give guidance to his warband.
So, and we see that the arrow is like from the back, and the front of the arrow is up front. So a normal man should kind of, this is like a mortal wound, kind of. And now there are this more fishermen arrived. Yeah, Hoel is kind of, I'm going to use it. He's kind of nervous. I'm going to mark fear, and I'm just like waiting and looking around to see who is actually against whom, because I'm like so lost.
Okay, so I'll come back to you for that check at the end of this cycle of events, just to see what other people are doing. Cuniobacha.
If I see Hoel sort of freezing, I am moving up to the rope, to the line that ties this, and I am slitting that line.
Okay, so because you put yourself in the right place for this, so I think that whatever it is they've tied it up to, you're working at that. I don't think that's going to do anything but take some time. Icenius, you got out of the water, and almost felt like that triggered this eruption of these creatures that you've previously seen out of the water. Is it still your intention to get across to the other side to where the village's mother is?
Yes, it is, and I think I'm
running, walking, sneaking.
I think I am striding. I think it was against my nature to go sneaking around. I couldn't see another way to go, but I've had it with sneaking around. I have the wrath of a righteous God in me, and I am striding, wielding the horseshoe and the cross.
Oh wow! Oh God! Wow!
Wielding it as a cross rather than a dagger at this point. I think I'm holding the blade.
Begone, foul creatures of the night. Okay. And then Russell, two of these creatures have emerged from the marsh at the foot of your tree, this bit of dry ground you found. What do you do?
Okay, I will pull the ring that I got earlier.
Yeah.
And I will drop it down an arrow shaft. And I will knock that arrow, and I'm going to fire it at the feet of the mother. I actually think these people have been pretty hard done by. So I think this is a sort of rob the rich, pay the poor. These people are pretty downtrodden. I don't think they've really harmed us, these guys. I actually think this is somehow connected to all this. So this is really her property. You know, she could be sort of being controlled. Maybe the ring's involved. This might give her an advantage. So yeah, I will knock it. And I don't really care that these guys are coming out of the water and maybe attempting to climb this tree. This is a good thing I can do.
Okay. I think a failure will hit her.
I think you're right.
Yeah. A cost might be that it hits somebody else. Who knows?
Here we go. 5 rolled. 6, 7. Now, I would like to invoke Outlaw, because this is a bit Rob from the Rich, a bit Robin Hoodie.
Yeah, I'll go with that. With that.
So from my 7, that will go up to a 10, and I think it will land between her webbed toes.
Fine. I think that's fine. It thuds into the skins and reeds that construct this platform, and it thuds. And she looks at it, and then she looks up and she sees Icenius advancing towards her. At this point, the boat comes loose, and you hear one of Gotefrid's men saying, "Get my lord to the boat," as it begins to drift away from the edge of the village. Hoel, still paralyzed by fear, or now now I'll let you look about you. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So that will give you +1 and get rid of fear. You've screwed your courage to the sticking place.
Oh, these dice are really funny when they show results. Looks like a 7 + 2. It's a 9.
On a 9, you can ask me one question for Look About Me. What do you want to know?
I want to know who is against whom over here. Is it that those newly arrived fishmen are attacking the fish-human hybrids? Is it that they are appearing to be going only after Lord's men? Who is against whom in this situation? Because that's really confusing.
These creatures that have emerged from the water are focused on the Lord and his men. You see them just striding past some of the villagers who fall back out of the way to make room for them. Is that clear enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Icenius. No, let me do Black Russell first, unless Cuniobacha wants to do anything now the ship is moving.
No, I'm holding. I will strike anyone that attempts to leap onto the boat.
Oh, so you're going to get onto the ship now then? You are
Yeah,
on
I think
the
so.
ship.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
okay.
drag myself onto the ship.
Fine. Okay. As the arrow arcs away and thuds into the between, at the feet of the village's mother, the creatures at the bottom of the tree look at you, look away, and dive into the water.
Nice.
Yeah. Icenius, you are brandishing a horseshoe and a cross. Yes?
Yes.
And that is the point when the mother kneels to you. Cuniobacha, there are people trying to get onto that ship, unsurprisingly. There are a couple of them leaping for it, trying to get hold of the rope. So what are you doing?
I am smacking them with the stick, knocking them back.
Are you looking to do harm on one of them, or are you looking just to stave them off?
I'm a man. No.
Okay.
Just to stave off would be the smart thing to do. But I'm angry, and these guys are at the root of all this. So I'm going to cudgel one across the forehead.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, and let me see here.
+1 for your wrath.
How do I keep losing copy? There we go. Okay. Delete these. Oh no, I re-rolled these dice before and they were good. So let's see.
You got a 12, I think, last time you re-rolled these dice.
I have a +3, so it is a 7.
So on a 7. I think that you can do harm on them, or you can use one of those bullet-pointed effects to get what you want out of that little exchange.
I think it's more important to me to knock them back, but I am doing it with rage. So I will take harm from them.
No, I don't think you will take harm from them. I think that because they're reaching for the edge of the boat and reaching for the rope. So I don't think that. But doing harm on them means you have not stopped them doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. Bloody wrath.
Yeah. Well, Hoel's behind me. Hoel will help.
Yeah. So one of them, you club and he goes into the water. Let me go to Hoel. Hoel, you were observing this. What are you doing now?
Yeah, I guess I better do something than do nothing. So I suppose we see Hoel pull himself also up on the boat, and he aims his axe forward, and he shouts to the men that are trying to jump in, and he says, "Leave your lords, drop your weapons, and you may." Wait. I actually do nothing. Just go to someone else.
Okay. So round to Icenius. Black Russell, you can see what is happening. I'll come to you in a moment to find out what reaction you have. Icenius, what do you do?
So my eyes go wide in shock, and I take my voice down from the bellow that I was planning and say, "Speak. What is up here? Stand you with God or with the devil?"
And she's got these large, unblinking, flat, black, shark-like eyes, and it is clear that she has no idea what you're talking about. She just looks at you, and if her eyes could do this, they would do that. Let me go to Black Russell. You've seen what's happened. What do you do?
I would like to, at this stage, lay down some suppressing fire for people that are jumping on the boat. I want to sort of distract them. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll take too long to sort of try and kill them. So really just pepper them, hold them in place.
Okay.
I don't really know what move that is.
I think it's probably fight, looking for that, create an advantage that can be passed to another character or something like that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can't do you any harm. They're much too busy now.
7.
7.
So I still think that will achieve it.
Yes, it will. Gain advantage can be passed to another player character. So Cuniobacha and Hoel on the boat, you have an advantage to use to stop them. Because I'm assuming this was tethered fore and aft. So I think that it's drifting away. That means that they can only get on at one end of the boat, which I guess is where you are.
We'll say, Hoel, these are the monsters who set loose the monsters. These are the ones behind that. We need to deal with this, and only then can we return to the Earl with our contract completed, with your contract completed.
Now, you can always call in a debt on someone to influence what they do. Or do you want to leave this at the level of just conversation?
What do you think your reaction is, Hoel? I kind of turn to you to try and implore you to aid.
Hoel just looks at the man that you are pushing into the water, and what is actually Lord of Land doing? He's probably out there on some kind of pier, or
he's down there. They've got him to the end of the ship that is still tethered, and they are trying to force their way on at that end of the ship while defending him from these creatures that have emerged from the fen.
Gee, the situation is so weird. I feel like I missed like everything on this first session. I completely don't get what is going on here. Like zero, no understanding of what is going on over here.
Okay.
So
well, look, why doesn't Cuniobacha tell you what he thinks is going on here?
In doubt, hit something.
No, well, let Cuniobacha.
I'll turn to you. I say, Hoel, this Lord used his influence to send the attacks on the village of, give me the name of the village
Sinum.
again, of Sinum, the one who hired us. He is behind all of this. He is the one who has been manipulating them, clearly had some promise or object of power. I think the one perhaps that Icenius has a hold of now. He has been using these things as a weapon of corruption and darkness against Sinum.
Very well. Very well. Yeah, I guess Hoel will go to the other end of the boat where they're trying to get the Lord, and say that you stir right in and deal with the problem that you steered. Try to get on the boat and you die.
I have to say, they have no alternative but to try to get on the boat. So I guess they are opting to risk to die.
Yeah.
So a desperate battle ensues at one end of the ship as they try to defend their lord from these monsters of the deep, with you stopping them escaping.
Yes.
Let me go back round to Black Russel. You're still peppering anybody who's trying to get on that boat, so you're providing an advantage for Hoel. Is that the way we're playing it? It is, isn't it? Fine. So Hoel, I think this is, again, do you want to focus your attack on one of them, or do you want to deter all of them? Oh, you are muted.
I want to prevent them from getting on the boat.
Okay, so I think that is probably...
And let the nature do the nature stuff.
Okay, so I think this is probably the ferocity that you display. So it's face danger with savage to stop them getting aboard. Yeah?
Cool. I feel like maybe I'm not going to use the advantage. I'm going to leave it for Cuniobacha.
Okay. Okay.
And we'll see where it goes. 2 6s, yes.
Yeah, what a shame that you passed on that advantage. So with that, dearie me. Okay, so that's great. I mean, on a 12, you have the full list. You could have 2 of those bullet points.
Are we fighting or are we facing danger?
I think you're facing danger, but I'm going to use those bullet points because it's appropriate. So what do you want to do?
Well,
what do you want as a bonus?
Say how you impress those watching, and the GM will offer you advantage or a bonus effect.
Or anything else you can come up with. I'm just using those as seeds.
So kind of in a Hoel's mind, yes, the Lord might be, I don't know, messing with darker powers, I don't know, but his men are not like all evil. They're just like following orders. So maybe like some of them like plead for their life, and then just like drop weapons, drop Lord, and just plead for their life. Just like, please take me with you. I will join the Earl of Sinum and confess everything.
I think that's a decent effect for this, for the quality of that. So I think that the ship's crew, rather than his hardened retainers, are the ones who will, throw down their weapons and say, "Can we just get on the ship?" And will in effect surrender to you. That leaves the Lord and maybe now just 2 or 3 of his retainers, at bay almost, surrounded.
Awesome.
Icenius, what do you do?
Remind me from a couple of sessions ago whether the mother doesn't... Is it the mother doesn't understand what I'm saying, or that I'm not?
I think that your question of God or darkness was just flew over her head.
Aha.
There's a degree of theological subtlety in that I think is not going to get anywhere with the mother.
Yeah. So I think I maybe realize this after a moment and say quite uncharacteristically gently, say, tell me what's going on.
Okay, and then I will cut to Cuniobacha. Some of these men are scrambling to get onto the ship rather than die under these monstrous claws.
Then the ones who have thrown down their weapons, I will help them aboard.
Okay. Black Russell, it looks like it would be difficult now to hit any of Gotefrid's men, other than the ones that you can see Cuniobacha helping, without hitting some of these creatures, because they are towering over the 2 or 3 men that remain stood over his prostrate body.
I mean, are they laying into them?
I think that, yes, I think they are.
Excellent. I will dive into the water and at all speed make haste for Gotefrid.
Okay.
I want him to see me.
Yeah, okay. Cuniobacha is helping these on board. The last 2 or 3 of the Lord's retainers fall before these monsters. They are now looking at the boat, yeah, threatening those who you have allowed to clamber on, the 8 or 9 men that have thrown down their arms and clambered aboard. Let me ask Icenius, what do you do when she says, and she points at where Gotefrid and his men are falling, and she points at him and says, he told us that he could force us to do what he wanted us to do. So we agreed to do things before he forced us. But now when he did not bring the thing that would force us, we would not do it. That's about what you get through the thick dialect and accent.
Mm-hmm.
What do you make of
And
that, Icenius?
I look at, you see my eyes go up to the cross wonderingly, and I think it's a close-up scene. You see the wheels turning in my mind, and I think I also head towards Gotefrid and his retainers.
As the last of them falls, and now these creatures turn their attention to the ship, where you can see that Cuniobacha and Hoel. It sounds like, are you prepared to stand with them, or now that they've given down their arms, are you prepared to protect them, Cuniobacha?
I'm prepared to protect them. They've done what we asked them to do.
Okay.
They are truly just servants.
So that's what you see, Icenius. It looks like these creatures are about to leap at the ship. What do you do?
I think I try to use the power, what I believe the power of the cross, to compel these creatures. I try to use that for good rather than ill, as Gotefrid would have done. And I try to say, stand down, for God's sakes, stand down. The ones who meant you harm are dead.
That does sound like you are invoking the word of God. When you try to banish a natural creature or monster from your presence. Roll plus savage.
Uh-huh.
Oh, and you only have a debt of 2.
Yes. But it doesn't matter anyway, because I have a 5, I think.
Okay, well, do you want to invoke your reputation as a sword of God?
I think I do.
To turn failure into marginal success? Yeah.
So I owe God another debt, I presume.
On 7+, it has time to take 1 or 2 actions before being cast into the outer darkness for the rest of this scene. So I think that they have time to dispatch his remaining retainers before they dive into the water. You can see them look at the mother, the village mother, and she seems to nod, and they disappear into the waters. That, I think, is the point at which Black Russel pulls himself out of the water. What do you do, Black Russel?
I think I walk over to the sort of like struggling, gasping body of Gotefrid and kneel down and sort of whisper in his ear that Gotefrid, it is I, Black Russel. Let it be known, I am the last person you will ever see. As I turn the arrow in his chest, to great effect. The blood gurgles out of his mouth.
And that, I think, is probably where we are best placed epiloguing our way out of this, unless anyone has something they are very keen to do. Okay. So does anyone want an epilogue in the immediate aftermath of this? Okay, Black Russel?
I think, I don't know how far a journey we need to make in the boat, but I think on the last night that we're
hang on. No, in the immediate aftermath.
Oh, okay,
like
no, I'm fine.
Right now.
No.
Okay. On the journey from here to Sinham. Okay, Black Russel.
I think on that last night that the boat, because clearly we were there overnight, maybe we're going, I think you will see Black Russel going into the whatever sleeping area Icenius is in and attempting, we will never see whether it's successful or not, pilfering the cross.
Does anyone want a scene or an epilogue at your arrival at Sinham?
I think when we talk to the Earl is where I want my...
Okay. Anyone want one before that? Or we'll cut to the Earl's Hall. Okay, Cuniobacha, over to you.
I think it is very much me laying out what we know of what happened, and that it was Gotefrid all along, and we had known that he was involved in these dark things. We'd suspected beforehand, which is why we pursued. But I definitely will frame it that it was Hoel who led us through, found the way, and so that he gets paid. I don't care about the pay. Hoel does, so I'm throwing all of the light and glory his way.
And so shade engulfs Icenius and Black Russel. Black Russel quite likes the shade. Hoel, do you want your epilogue here or some other place, some other time?
I think an epilogue in the Sinham, probably in the tavern, or where we are, like where Hoel have bought a feast for my friends, and we are talking, chatting, and yes, and Hoel says, I'm tired. I'm really tired of this people problem. I'm going to the north. I've heard they have some trolls giving trouble to the villagers. That's a task for me.
Straightforward monster hunting.
Yeah.
And finally, Icenius, how do you want to epilogue yourself away from this?
I would like my epilogue either in Danum or where the prefect of Danum has gone.
Let's go to the Prefect of Danum, wherever he
And
is.
I think we see Icenius explaining that Gotefrid, that he believes that Gotefrid was in league with the I've forgotten the name of who the Prefect of Danum is fighting.
Oh, King Beda of Lindsay.
Yes, I think I believe that Gotefrid. I don't have proof, but I believe that Gotefrid is in league with Beda of Lindsay and using dark forces and tried to compel the men of the people of the marsh to rise up against Sinham, and I'm asking to be allowed to lead a band that goes to Len and tries to root this all out.
Fine. I have an epilogue. It is shortly after you arrive in Sinham. It is dusk. Black Russel is outside the Lord's Hall, unwrapping a cross-shaped object to find that it is carved of wood. I wonder where that cross has gone. And that, I think, is where we will roll credits. Thank you very much, folks. I would like a swift roses and thorns on this one, given it's our last one. Roses, anything that you have particularly enjoyed across the series. Thorns, anything, it would be better if, or I was disappointed that. Yeah. I will, if it's okay with you, send you a link for a formal feedback on the game, and you can put more detail in there. But I'm just after, high points, low points. So let me start with Pavel. Any roses?
I really like that we have seen that the Nemesis was very much involved. That although Russel Nemesis was very much involved, as I understood from session 1 that I missed, up to session 4, he was there. He was the main villain, and it was really cool to see the full story of the Outlaw.
Yeah, it's a shame that he has an elder son, and that blood feuds inevitably run down a family tree. But yeah, no,
we need to have something for the next series, so
Absolutely, yeah. Son of Gotefrid.
Yes, it was also very nice to see the sort of god and the relation with the god and what God has asked Icenius to do, and it was really interesting to see Icenius in the action.
That reminds me, Icenius, you should owe God another debt, because you have neither converted nor killed Cuniobacha. Okay, thank you, Pavel. Moving along. Lowell, any roses? You are muted.
I'm muted. So I really enjoyed it. I liked, at first I wasn't sure about the burden/temptation thing. But I dug it. Like it was interesting to have to consider how, because that burden wasn't going to go away, and that I took that -2 on essentially the perception skill, which is usually my fallback in games like this. So it was really, really neat and challenging. I liked the wound system, because it looks like you've got a bunch of boxes, and then very quickly you realize, oh no, half those boxes are really the boxes I can take, because after that it gets really bad. I enjoyed the moves I had. I was very pleased overall with the system and mechanics. Felt very, very good to me.
Thank you. Moving on, Paul, any roses?
Great GMing as great GMing as normal, Alan. The system. I've played it in many iterations. It just keeps getting better. Probably I'm still not totally bought on the temptation sort of thing. But you know, I like playing with it. There's no problem with that. I would probably say with the outlaw moves, the sleight of hand and the thief are really sort of, I don't want to say weak, but they're very situational. Could you roll that into one move called sort of like be a thief? Do something a thief would do. 6 or less fail, 7 and 9 succeed at a cost, 10 plus success.
Yeah, I mean, the more that I tinker with this, the more those moves that have a list of bullet points that are inevitably limiting. And I keep looking at Look About You and thinking it should be more generic like that, more general. Yeah. I
mean, I don't mind the bullet point. It's just that how often are you going to use sort of sleight of hand? Same as Thief, it's quite situational where a lot of the other characters have got moves that are quite either combat or social. You can use them a lot. That's my only thorn, mate.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. I have to say the Outlaw playbook is the one that I am least convinced by.
That's why I picked it.
Oh, good man. Good man.
Yeah, it needs some play.
Yeah, good man. And any roses from Bodhi?
Yes, I really like how primarily the debt system ties, but also the nature of the playbook kind of really ties characters together in a way that can feel kind of, not sure how to put it, but kind of really kind of high tension, kind of claustrophobic, but in a good way. And and I liked how the players, how we played into that. And it seems to me this game is at least as much about the internal conflicts of everyone and that feels really kind of setting appropriate and really I really like the atmosphere that gives the game. I really like how everyone played into that.
Yeah, I mean that's great. I'm glad you sensed that. Let me go back round. Oh, Pavel, I haven't done. Have I gone to Bodhi twice? I've lost track now. Did I start? Pavel, have I? Yes, I have. Let me go back to Pavel and do Thorns. Sorry. Long day.
Long day. Session or system?
Give me the low point. Whatever.
The low point. Because I missed the first session, I was completely lost in when there was like the Lordsman, and then there were this. We never really learned about the mothers, and I felt completely confused today. We never learned who they are, what they are, how to defeat them, what is the purpose of this cross, and it was like I was following the plot. I couldn't be anyhow active in the plot or even decide what I want from the plot because I didn't understand what is going on.
Okay, well, I regret that, obviously, and I'm sorry you felt that. Maybe, I suppose maybe I should have had a bit at the front that allowed a bit of exposition from the other players so they could kind of fill you in more on where they think it was going.
They did explain to me that he was a bad man, but it was still confusing. Okay. The situation. So who is who? He's against it was very confusing. I felt, another thing, I feel that there is too small difference between weapons harm and armor. We rolled a lot of moves and we were not even able to down one of those warriors, and there were 5 of them. This fight could have taken forever. So I think there should be bigger difference between some weapons harm and armor, or something else.
I'm thinking of abstracting the combat much more, to be honest. I think I've gone through the harm cycle. Yeah, let's cut to the chase and describe it. Perhaps like Hearts of Wulin, I don't know. But I do quite like the wearied, wounded, dying. So I don't quite know how to save both.
Yeah, I mostly mean the enemies, because I think player harm is fine, but either treat these guys as a group, and I'm not sure how much harm you gave them, but I feel we did like 5 to 6 harm to one guy and he was still standing. So
yeah, that was the one that
in the monster of the week, the big monster can have from 5 harm to 20, but this is the big guy and there were 5 of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe boosting axe bow to a 3 or something like this. There should be like this fight, even because it wasn't the boss fight, it was like some fight in the beginning of the session. So it should have been somehow shorter. Treat the guys as a group, give them 5 or 6 harm, and then.
Okay. Point taken. Thank you. Paul, any thorns?
Well, I sort of gave you the playbook one.
Yeah.
No, nothing else, mate.
Okay,
I
Lowell.
don't want to ruin your night.
Yeah, I kind of agree about the squad thing. I think like 13th Age, where do X amount of damage, you take off one of the figures, and that gives us a nice countdown. Or even like how 7th Sea does it, where you've got a brute squad, and if you don't take them all down, then they're dealing a certain amount of harm to everybody at the end of the round. Those are, I think that abstraction probably works. The only, and that felt very minor for me, I also would say, is I saw Pavel struggling, like understanding, and I didn't stop. I also should have stopped, because I knew I kind of had a sense of what was going on, and I was kind of pushing Pavel to do things without stopping and explaining. And so that's on me as well, for kind of continuing to push things forward when it was clear that people weren't entirely in sync on that. The only move one I will point at, I like the general moves. I think all the basic moves feel good to me. Even with the, for me, I'm like, always do away with questions, but I think they work here, and I think they felt right. The Whispers in the Mind move is just fictional positioning, and I think it's great fictional positioning, but I think it needs, there needs maybe a little more. Like, it needs to be able to do something in a situation or something, because it's a little thin compared to the other choices. That'd be the only thing I'd say.
No, I think that's a sharp observation. Thank you for that. Finally, Bodhi, any thorns?
So in this session, I felt like at some points that it was not that I didn't understand what was going on, but I couldn't reach for what my character would immediately do, and I'm trying to work out why that was the case, and struggling a little bit, but I felt that there wasn't a really clear plot line at all points this session, and I think I might have to get back to you on that, because that feels like it had some mechanical reason behind it, if you get what I'm saying. I think there was something in the way the game was working that made me feel a little bit uncertain about where to go. I'll have to think about that more, and think about what exactly that was.
Put anything in the feedback form you think that is helpful. So thank you for that. Okay, folks, let me just stop.
I have one more thing to say. I had a great time. This was dynamite. This was an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed playing with everyone. And I will say, there's one bad thing that's come out of this, is this week I got my copy of Wolves of God, and it's beautiful, but I will never play it now, because this is so much more what I want, and just dynamite. Had a great time. Thank you for running this.
No, thank you. Okay, let me just stop the recording.